Hello everybody, welcome to our online English class. I am Chandrasekhar Sikdar, lecturer of English, Dhaka Shiksha Board Laboratory School and College. Dear students, how are you doing? Perhaps you are passing lazy time, and which is why I am before you with a new topic. Dear students, today I shall talk about transformation of sentences according to structure, that means simple, complex and compound. Before starting our focus point, you should know very well the basic structure of these three sentences as well as the structure of clauses. Now, dear students, first of all, clauses. Clauses, a clause, a group of words contain a subject and a predicate. Or we can say clause is a group of words with a subject and a verb. It cannot be always considered as a full grammatical sentence. For example, this table is made of wood. Here, this table is subject and is made of wood is predicate. Now, there are mainly two types of clauses. You see, principal or main or independent clauses and subordinate clause or dependent clause. Now, principal clause. What is principal clause? Principal clause or an independent clause has a subject and a verb that can stand alone as a complete thought or sentence. And subordinate clause or dependent clause cannot stand alone as a complete thought or sentence. For example, look at it very carefully. I'll get you some stamps if I go to town. In this sentence, I will get you some stamps. This is the principal clause, and if I go to town, this is subordinate clause. Here, one thing you should remember, that subordinate clause is not as important as main clause or principal clause because it couldn't exist as a separate sentence. Now, the basic structure of principal clause: subject, then verb, then object or supporting words. So you see the example, I will get you some stamps. Here subject I, verb will get, object you, and supporting words some stamps. That is called will get you some stamps. These are predicate. And the basic structure of subordinate clause: first of all, subordinate conjunction, then subject, then verb, then supporting words. An example, if I go to town. Next, you should know what is sentence. A sentence has a subject and a verb and expresses a complete thought. According to structure, you know there are three kinds of sentences. These are simple, complex and compound. Okay, now what is simple sentence? It has a principal, it has one principal or independent clause, and the structure of simple sentence is subject, verb plus object or additional words. For example, John is a good scholar. Here subject John, verb is, object or additional word scholar, good scholar. And then complex. A complex sentence has one principal clause and one or more subordinate clause. Structure: principal clause, complex structure of complex sentence, principal clause plus subordinate clause. Example, he is so dull. Subordinate clause, that he cannot understand the topic. So the complex sentence is, he is so dull that he cannot understand the topic. And now compound sentence. A compound sentence has two or more principal clauses with or without subordinate clause. Structure: principal clause plus subordinate conjunction plus principal clause. Example: take some tea or else you will fail. Here principal clause take some tea or else coordinate in conjunction, and another principal clause is you will fail. Now this is very important for you, and that is comparison between sentences and clauses. You have to remember it very well if you want to transform sentences from simple to complex and compound. Okay, you see, simple sentence, the structure of this sentence is subject plus verb plus object or additional word. And in principal clause, first of all subject, then verb plus object or supporting words. Now comparing with simple sentence and principal clause, we can say that simple sentence and independent clause are same in structure. That means if I give you a simple sentence, you will find a principal clause in that sentence. You should remember it. Then complex sentence, principal clause plus subordinate clause. Example, as I told you before, he is so dull that he cannot understand the topic. And subordinate clause, structure, subordinate conjunction, then subject, then verb, then supporting words. For example, if I go to town. Okay. Now I will show you the technique of transforming sentences, I mean simple to complex and then to compound. Okay, this is the first technique. Simple sentence, verb with ing. I mean, if you find in a simple sentence having a verb with ing, then you can follow this technique. Since or as, if the sentence indicate cause, or if the sentence indicate time, then you will use when as subordinate conjunction. At the same time, if it indicates cause, then you will use and so as coordinate conjunction, and if it indicates time, then you will use and as coordinate conjunction or coordinating conjunction. For example, standing in front of the window, she looked outside. Okay, what type of sentence is it? It is a simple sentence. How can you identify? Because you see verb with ing, standing in front of the window, she looked outside. So this is a simple sentence. And as I told you before, that in a simple sentence you will find a principal clause. So first of all, try to identify which one is principal clause here in this sentence. Yes, you see, she looked outside. This is principal clause because here you find subject, verb and additional words. So this is principal clause. And remember, you cannot change any portion of principal clause. Okay, now complex sentence, you can remember, to make a complex sentence you need at least one principal clause and at least one subordinate clause. And here you have already got a principal clause, she looked outside. So the rest portion of the sentence, standing in front of the window, you have to change this portion as subordinate clause. Okay, now try to get the meaning of this sentence, whether it indicates cause or time. Okay, standing in front of the window, she looked outside. Now remember, cause refers when an action takes place because of another action. For example, if I run fast, I will be sweating. But this is a cause, but here standing in front of the window she looked outside. There is no reason for her to look outside if she stands in front of the window. She can look inside also. So this is never indicate any cause, rather it indicates time. So we can here use when as subordinate conjunction. So you can start when. Okay, and now remember subordinate clause. First of all, subordinate conjunction, then subject. And in this sentence, subject is she, then she, and then verb. Here, standing is a verb, but we have to write it according to the tense of the principal clause. The principal clause is in past tense, and that's why you have to write down stood, and then the additional word. When she stood in front of the window, then the principal clause, she looked outside. Okay, now come to the compound sentence. As I mentioned earlier, this sentence indicates time, so you will use and as coordinate conjunction or coordinating conjunction. So compound sentence means, as I told you, one principal clause, then coordinating conjunction, then another principal clause. Okay, the first principal clause, she stood in front of the window, then coordinating conjunction and looked outside. She looked outside. Here one thing you should know, if the subject of the two clauses, if the subjects of the two clauses are same, then you need not mention the subject in the later clause. Okay, that's why she has been omitted here. Now I'll give you another sentence for practice. The sentence is, being poor, she couldn't buy a car. Okay, so you see this is a simple sentence because you find here ing with verb. Okay, now try to get the meaning and think whether it indicates time or cause. Being poor, she couldn't buy a car. This is of course cause, because of her poverty she couldn't buy a car. So this is cause. So here we will use since or as subordinate conjunction. So we can write since or as she, and this is past tense, and that's why we can use was. Since she was poor, she couldn't buy a car. And now compound sentence, since the sentence indicates cause, so here we use and so as coordinating conjunction. So the answer would be, she was poor and couldn't buy a car. Now the second rule or the second technique. Okay, if you find 2 ... remember one thing, you shouldn't say 2 or 2. Either you will pronunciate 2 or 2. Okay, so 2. Then in complex sentence you will use this formula. Instead of TWO2 you can use so, and instead of 2 you can use that plus subject plus cannot or could not according to the sentence, and then verb, then additional words. And in compound sentence, instead of TWO2 you can use very, and instead of 2 you can use and plus subject plus cannot oblique could not according to sentence, according to tense, and then verb, then additional words. Now I will give you an example. She is too weak to work. So the complex sentence would be, she is so weak that she cannot work. And compound, she is very weak and cannot work. Okay, I think you can understand. Now I will show you the third technique. In simple sentence, to plus verb or in order to, and if to plus verb indicates any purpose, then in complex sentence instead of to you can use so that, then subject, then can or could according to tense, then can, could, may, might according to tense, then verb, then the rest of the words or the additional words. And in compound sentence, instead of to, you can in compound sentence you can subject plus want according to structure or rule, then to plus verb plus additional words, then and so, and then PC, that means principal clause. Or first from the very beginning principal clause, then and, then want, then to plus verb, and then the additional word. Here want is, you have to use it as a formula, want, and according to tense it can change. Sometimes it can be wants or wanted. Okay, now example, she went there to buy a book. Here to buy a book, to plus verb, and it indicates any purpose. Why did she go there? Because she want to buy a book. She has a purpose. Okay, so we can say she went there instead of to, so that, then subject, she can buy a book. Here subject, this word perhaps this word has been omitted here. This is a mistake, but you can correct it. She can buy a she could. This is another mistake, so you can write she could buy a book. Okay, in compound sentence, she wanted, because it was, the sentence is in past tense, and that's why I should write wanted. Okay, and if the sentence is in present tense, then of course I will write she wants. Okay, she wanted, then to plus verb, to buy, and then the rest of the word, a book, and so then principal clause, she went there. Okay, and there is another way we can do it, and that is, first of all, principal clause, she went there, then and then want according to tense, we should write wanted. She went there and wanted to buy a book. And the fourth technique, in spite of or despite, in simple sentence. In complex you have to use though or although, and in compound sentence but. Remember, in spite of or despite always indicate the opposite thing, opposite sense. Okay, for example, in spite of his recess, he is unhappy. Okay, so in spite of his recess, here instead of in spite of, we can use though or although. Okay? Although or though he, subject, because this is though, here is subordinate conjunction, and then you have to write down subject, and here subject is he, and then verb, here a verb is in present tense, so after he we should write down is, he is rich, comma, he is unhappy. And in compound sentence, he is rich but he is unhappy. Okay, I think if you practice more and more, then it will be very easy, because transformation of sentence according to a structure, it seems very hard, but actually this is one of the most interesting topic in English grammar, and if you practice it frequently, I think you will get pleasure doing it. Okay, and no more today. Thank you. See you next.